Good evening. I'm glad to be back here every once in a while. Baruch Hashem. It's been a while since I gave a lecture in English. I feel I forgot my English. This lecture is Leilui Nishmat Shmuel Baruch ben Rabbi Chaim Tzvi Dov, and also sponsor to the success of the family of Frank Kohler and family, and also Yeshayahu Nisim Chaim ben Aliza to do tshuva לגדול בתורה ופרנסה טובה, לעילוי נשמת יוסף בן יהודה, לרפואת שלום בן רחל סטרן, פנחס בן שרה גיטל, הצלחה, for the הצלחה of Alexander Shimon Brink ben Avraham, and להצלחת ענאל אלגריה בדינה, להצלחה ופרנסה טובה לאברהם חיים בנימין, להצלחה ובריאות לצופיה בת ענאל אלגריה, הצלחה ובריאות אורה בת ענאל אלגריה, זיווג הגון נעמי סעדה בת דינה, להצלחה עזרא אשר בן חוגלה, לרפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף לדוד יוסף בן חוגלה, לעילוי נשמת פיליפ פייבל בן שיינדל, and also a lot of names since I did not have a lecture in English for a while. לעילוי נשמת מרים בת ישראל דוב צבי הירש בן אהרון שמואל, also to the release of Ehud ben Nostrat. He was captured in Iran by the Ayatollahs. Hopefully he'll be released. לרפואת רוזה בת בובה, and לעילוי נשמת אלמירה מאירה אברמובה בת חביבית, and לעילוי נשמת אלכס סוזן מנשירוב בן אירינה מרים, רפואה שלמה והצלחה of רבי יוסף ג'ייקובסון בן גיטל, אירדה חיה בת אלמירה מאירה, מדלין מאירה בת אירדה חיה, מרק גבריאל בן אירינה מרים, מנשיר אדינאייב בן אלמירה מאירה, אירין מרים בת חנה, חיים אדייב בן דבורה, רפאל בן אירין מרים, דוד בן חנה, אילן בת אירין מרים, קווין חפץ בן אלינה, אמילי חפץ בת אלינה, סוזנה אברמובה בת לריסה, אנה אברמובה בת לריסה. טוב, I think I cover all the names. This is a month of names. Baruch Hashem. Tov. I would like to start, I didn't have a chance, thank you. I didn't have a chance to speak about my dear friend that passed, unfortunately, almost a month ago. While I was already flying to Israel, I was on my flight. We just found out when I arrived here about this horrible news. Rabbi Wallenstein, Zatzal, and you know, as good as you are, as righteous as you are, you don't know how long you're going to be in this world. Today you're here, tomorrow you don't know anymore. He was, Baruch Hashem, inspiring a lot of people, and Bezrat Hashem, all these zchuyot now. When you go to Olam Haba, you find out how many people you influenced, and how many people did tshuva thanks to you, and how many people, how many teenagers he helped with Or Nava and all these other things. Bezrat Hashem, and we hope that this lecture also will be Leilui Nishmato. We just read Parashat Bechukotai. As you know, it's a very critical parasha. There's two parashot in the Torah that everybody gets scared of. It's Parashat Bechukotai and Parashat Ki Tavo. Why? Because there's a lot of curses there. People don't like curses. Darkei darkei noam. You know, this is a very famous sentence. Like, Rabbi, don't be tough, don't be strict. Darkei darkei noam. Speak positive. This is what you hear everywhere you go. Well, what can we do? The Torah has two sides. The Torah has the soft, positive, what people like to hear, the approach. And then the Torah is very strict when people do the wrong thing, and there's consequences to it. Those two parashot are the perfect example for that. If you listen to me, this is what you're going to get. And if not, there's a list of horrible things that nobody wants. So we have in this parasha 49 curses, and Parashat Ki Tavo another 98, together 147. Unfortunately, almost all of them already happened. Things that you cannot imagine. If you take the most angry person in the whole world and tell him, you want to punish a group of people, what the worst punishment you want to give them? The worst would be execution. To hang them, to burn them, to put them in gas chambers. We saw in history. What could be worse than that? There is one thing that is worse than that. Do you know what? It destroys you physically and it destroys you mentally. And you won't ever believe that a human being would agree to give someone such a punishment. But Hashem gave it to us and it actually happened to us. What is it? Who knows? There is a verse in a parasha, Ve'achaltem besar bnechem uvnotechem. You're going to eat the flesh, the meat of your own children. Either you have to kill them and eat them, or after they die, you're going to have to eat them because you're going to be starving, hiding in caves under the ground or in a desert. There's nothing to eat, and that's how you're going to end up. And it happened in a Chorban Bayit Sheni, that people actually did it to survive. It also happened in the Holocaust. There was one very big rabbi in Lower East Side. He was the posek of the Holocaust in one of the camps, Rav Ashri, a very big tzaddik. And I remember seeing him in Lower East Side when I lived there. We lived there at the same time. I used to see him almost every day on the street with this little cane, very short man. Never ever raised his face from the ground. Never. You can never see him walking in the street with his face up. He was always looking at the floor. And he was the posek of the generation. And people asked him such questions that the actual question that he had to answer was the biggest punishment to a human being. One time a person came to him and said, Rabbi, the Nazis took 100 people in a list to execute them tomorrow, and my son is in a list. I have money, cash, that I hidden in some tree, by some tree in a forest. I can tell the German to go and get the money, and he will get my son out of the list. But I know he's going to put another Jew inside. Am I allowed to do it? Look at this tzaddik that is worried about someone else when he can save his own son. And Rav Ashri asked him, why are you asking me such a question? So the person told him, Rabbi, don't answer. I already got my answer. They actually let his son go. This is the kind of situations that there were. One of the questions they asked him, and that's very similar to this, are we allowed to eat the bodies that are dead on the street? You know, they took them 3 days in the snow, no food, marching, just to torture them. Walk. All day, day and night, walk and walk and walk. And they're starving. There are people already frozen to death on the side of the road. They're dead. So they ask him, can we cut a piece and eat, not to die? Are you allowed to eat a dead body to survive? Pikuach nefesh, doche hakol. Besides 3 things. That's not one of the 3 things. Technically, yes. But he answered, not allowed. Why? Because he knew that some of these people are not fully dead. It takes few minutes or few hours to die. The soul, it's like it's leaking slowly out of the body. It doesn't go out in a second. The soul begins to leak out a month before. A month before, if a person's sick, you can see, he's telling you, you see all kinds of people. I had a student that before his father passed, they were living in the third floor here in Israel. And he said to him, why the neighbor from the second floor is here? He looked in the corner of the ceiling. He said, what do you mean, the neighbor? I see the neighbor here. He said, no, you're hallucinating. Don't worry about it. He said, no, she's right here. I see her. Later, he found out that the minute that his father was talking about her, a few minutes before that, she passed. The neighbor from below. So that he actually was able to see her neshama. Why? Because his neshama is already half out. When you are inside the body, you cannot see the spirits. You can't see the souls. You can only see them if you yourself out. Like people who died clinical death, the neshama came out of the body completely. They were able to see the relatives and other things, and then when they came back into the body, they can't see anything anymore. It's called out-of-body experience. Why? Because Hashem designed it that when the neshama is in the body, you can see all the spirits and all the gilgulim and all the things. The Ari HaKadosh, for instance, he was in such a high level, he was able to look at things and tell you, this person is reincarnated in this tree, this one is reincarnated in this rock. One time he said to his student Rabbi Chaim Vital, in this rock, there is a butcher from such a town who used to sell treif meat, and now Hashem sent him back and he's here. And he went all the way to that town to investigate if there was such a person. And he said, oh yeah, that was the butcher that lived here. So this was the Ari HaKadosh, but how many people like this you have? In the whole history, he didn't have that many. So in reality, Rav Ashri knew that if a person is not fully dead, they can actually murder them in order to kill them. If they move a little bit, they just choke them for 10 seconds. Anyway, he's going to die in a minute. At least I will get saved. By killing him, I'm saving my life. But you're not allowed. This is one of the 3 things you're not allowed to do. But you see, if he would ask us, from our general knowledge, we would say, yeah, you're allowed to eat. We wouldn't think about the fact that some of them maybe are not fully dead. This is the situation HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in. We cannot ignore reality and we cannot ignore the history. I know there are many speakers today that don't like to hear it and they don't like to talk about it. Erasing parts of the Torah and making them not qualified for this generation is a very, very big mistake. I don't want to use the word crime, but it's a very big mistake. Why it's a big mistake? Because when some novelist write a famous novel and someone decides to print it with certain parts are missing in it, that's going to be a serious crime in a world of artists or novelists. So what did you do? There are parts missing. No, those parts do not qualify to today's generation. That will be his end. As an analyst or journalist, no one will ever use him. Why? Who gave you permission to interfere with the perfect piece of art or the original writing of this famous author? Same thing over here. You come and say, oh, these parts we don't want to show today in a school, we don't want to teach it. That's actually telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know better than you to whom your Torah is qualified. Meaning, I always say, when Hashem gave the Torah, we have a rule in Judaism, en dochim nefesh mipnei nefesh. You're not allowed to save Reuven in the expense of killing Shimon. You're not allowed. It's a mother that she's supposed to give birth, lo alenu, and the baby is jeopardizing her life. It's either saving her or saving him. And the mother is, let's say, 50 years old, right? She's an older woman giving probably her last birth, and the baby is only 1 day old if he comes out. Logically, it would be better to give him life than her, because she probably have 30 more years to live, and he will have another 80. Isn't it better? We're gaining more years of life of a Jew. The answer is no. The mother lived already. His life comes from her. She's giving him life. You cannot take someone that gives life to someone else and kill him in order for the other person to steal the life from her. And it doesn't go by age, because the life of a Jew has endless value. If you murder a person that is 10 years old, and you murder a person that is 120 years old, and the doctor gives him 1 hour to live, that's it. The doctor say, we see by the machines, the way he is declining, he has maximum 1 hour to live. And a person disconnected him from the machine, it's an equal murder of murdering a kid, or a 20 years old adult. Why? It's not fair. Here you only took an hour of life, and here you took 80 years of life. How can it be the same punishment? The answer is, if you take 1 second of life, it's already execution. Anything else is extra. You are being punished for the first second. What you're going to be punished for later on, it's another issue. Hashem is going to calculate how much this person lost, and then you're going to have to pay for all the losses. This is what we read yesterday in Haftarah. The Navi Yirmiyah said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Ani meshalem la'adam, I pay the person ki prima alalav, like the fruit of his actions, not based on his actions alone. The fruit of his actions. If he built a synagogue and he passed, every day the synagogue produced Torah learning, classes, minyanim, davenings, Tehillim reading, bar mitzvah parties, a lot of things happening in that shul. He can be 20 years in the next world, and every Rosh Hashanah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu calculate din v'cheshbon. He calculate what came out of his good deed, and now this synagogue produced a lot of mitzvot. Let's elevate your neshama and upgrade your situation based on how much you earn, even though you're not in the world anymore. Same thing is in the other way around. If a person open a bar in Tel Aviv, which is open on Shabbat, and sell treif, and people meet all kinds of people that are not exactly modest, and they smoke there, and there's bad music, and who knows what comes out of it later on, everything that happened goes to his account. You opened it, you're responsible for all the bad consequences of that place. So the same thing, when Cain killed Abel, Hashem came to Cain. The way of Hashem always is to encourage the sinner to confess. Of course, Hashem knows what he did, but he doesn't want to blame him right away. He would prefer that a person will be modeh, right? Because as soon as you confess and you admit, immediately 50% of your situation got better. Modeh. If you modeh and you leave the sin and you accept never to repeat it, and you regret it and ashamed and apologize, etc., modeh ve'ozev yerucham, also going to get a mercy. So Hashem asked Cain, where is your brother Abel? What does he answer? What do you want from me? I'm his keeper? Why are you asking me? He doesn't know yet who is Hashem. Remember, he's one of the first people on earth. He doesn't know how it works. So he asked him, well, what do you want from me? I'm his keeper. And then Hashem answered him, Kol dmei achicha tzoakim elai min ha'adama. The bloods, not blood, plural, meaning not one blood of a human being, the bloods of all the people that were supposed to be born from Hevel are all screaming to me from the ground. Meaning, I don't judge you for killing Hevel. I judge you for killing half of the world. Half of the world came today from Shet. Nobody came from Cain. Cain genealogy is erased. After 7 generations, no one left. And Hevel had no children. So between Cain and Hevel, nobody is their descendants. Later on, after 130 years, Adam was doing tshuva for 130 years. After 130 years, here he gave birth to another child, which his name is Shet. And all the people in the world is actually from him. So, meaning Hashem blames Cain for all the children of Hevel who did not come to the world, and perhaps also his children that were supposed to come to the world, but none of them came to the world because he got cursed. For that he's also responsible. What a punishment. It's worse than Hitler. Hitler killed 50 million people. They kill billions of people based on this calculation. It's very scary, but it's reality. It's reality. So a person has to deal with the consequences of his action. And I always say, when Hashem wrote the Torah, we have a rule: you don't kill one person in order for you to save another person. If a baby jeopardizes the mother, is din rodef. Yesh lo din rodef. Is like another Jew chasing another Jew to kill him. First you give him a warning. Baby, you cannot give him a warning in this case. If it's an adult running after someone to kill him, you give him a warning. If the warning didn't help, if there is a way to stop him from killing him, obviously you do it without killing him. But if the only way to stop him is to kill him, you must kill him. And if later on you found out that he was the righteous one chasing the wicked, and what have I done? I actually killed the right person and let the wrong one live. It's not your fault. You follow what the halacha say. So here is an example. So when a baby jeopardized the mother, you had to kill the baby, not the mother. Why? Her life was here, and he is jeopardizing her life. So when Hashem gave the Torah, do you really think that Hashem would write something in the Torah that potentially will make a damage to any Jew in a future generation until the end of days? Will Hashem do something that actually help Reuven but kill Shimon at the same time? It's against his own rules. And dochim nefesh v'pnei nefesh. You don't benefit one on the blood of the other. I will not write something that will help Reuven and destroy Shimon at the same time, or the other way around. So if the Torah says Mechalel Shabbos Mot Yumat, and some people get scared when they read it, let it be. That's the whole purpose. I want people to get scared, because fear is the best motivation in life. Many times people complain to me about the fear that exists in the Torah. Why does it have to be with fear? So I always answer, when Hashem gave us the Torah, He could have given us the Torah with a beautiful sunny day, violin, some Mozart in the background, beautiful trees, smell like jasmine, the floor did not shake. Who needs a voice of shofar, fire, smoke, fog, scary voice, everybody died, the angel has to go and chase their souls, bring them back into the body, everybody died from fear. Why do you have to give us the Torah in such a fear? Why is so fanatic? Give us the Torah in a beautiful melody. Tam, tam, ta, tam. I'm giving you the Torah today. Right? And everyone will be dancing and smiling and hugging and singing. Beautiful, nice tish. And some lechaim wouldn't make any damage also. Why does it have to be so uptight? The answer is the maker knows very well his creation. And the best and most productive way to change for the better is fear. No matter what people tell you. That's the number one energy that motivates a person. Yes, he's not happy about it. Obviously, he would rather not facing any consequences of his bad deeds. But in reality, and sometimes people ask about the fear, and I say, do you have 1 hour in your life that you can point that you did not have at least 1,000 different kinds of fears? From the minute you remember yourself. Let's calculate. From the minute you remember yourself as a man or as a woman, do you know how many fears you're dealing with? First, if you're sick or not sick, every pain, chas v'shalom, maybe cancer, wow, I have this, I feel something here, I better run to an MRI, my stomach, who knows what it is, the crazy neighbor, police, cameras everywhere, drug dealers came to the neighborhood, the government, traders, making a government with the Hamas and the enemies of Israel. Who knows if we can be here next year? Hezbollah is raising 100,000 missiles pointing on us. Iran is close to a nuclear bomb. Sleepy Joe became our enemy. So many things. There's so many things. The children, will they stay on the derech? Will they go off the derech? what's on their phones, who knows what they're doing, who knows where they are. Then I should continue. Wow, they're raising taxes. What's going to be with the mortgage? How will I pay it now? The mortgage is going to be 2% more a year. Will I make it? My boss is giving me bad looks. Probably tomorrow I'm going to get fired. Will I get a shidduch? Will I not get a shidduch? Will I marry my children? Will I not? Will they have children? Will they not have children? How many I just named? At least 200, no? Believe me, I can go on until next week. So we have thousands of different fears which we actually learn to live with. As bad as it is, it doesn't feel great. We would love to live a life with no fear at all, if that was up to us. But then where would we go from there? If we would not be afraid of anything, no one will ever do the right thing. Do you know how many people are safe and healthy just because they are cowards? I'm one of them. When I was a kid, I had a cousin. He was a macho man, like a Tarzan. You know Tarzan? Jump from cliffs, jump from trees, doing all kinds of acrobatic things. And I was very scared of these things. So my uncle, his father, used to take us to the Sachne here in the north, or Ma'ayan Harod, if you know where it is, past Afula, in the Galilee. And he screamed to me, Yossi, Kvots, jump! I was frozen. And his son, he screamed at him, jump! Boom! He jumped. Then he came to my mother and he said, your son is such a coward. Now one time he jumped, look, he's like a girl. So my mother asked me, what, you're really a coward? Why are you afraid to jump? So I told her, why should I jump? Imagine if there's a rock there or something under the water. I'm going to hit the rock. I'm going to be paralyzed for the rest of my life. Well, what will I gain from this jump? Will I make $1 million out of it? Would I become somebody famous? What is this jump going to give me in my life? I can only lose. Right or wrong? But most kids don't think. They jump. How many people in Israel got motorcycle and they go crazy on the road? Every year 70 Israelis died from motorcycles. And dozens become paralyzed. I know personally close to 10 young guys in their 20s that are in a wheelchair from motorcycle. You know how dangerous it is? On the roads here, you see how they cut between the cars. One tiny thing. And by the way, a motorcycle can go 30 years and get lucky not to get hurt, but he comes to Olam Haba with no mitzvot. Let's say it's a frum guy. He loses all his mitzvot every day he's on the road. Why? Because Hashem has to make dozens of miracles for him every day not to die. Because in a normal way, he should have died 10 times a day. מנקים לו את הזכויות. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to perform a miracle for you, the miracle has a cost. What is the cost of the miracle? That they clean away from his merit. So he works very hard, he learns, he davens, he puts tefillin, he gives tzedakah, and then automatically he gets eaten up every day. Why? Just because he wants to ride on a motorcycle between the trucks and the cars and who knows what else. And there's potholes, and there's rain, and it's slippery, and sometimes there are sand on the road. It can be also slippery. I see all the time accidents with motorcycle. But it's a life risk. But why people get it? Because they don't have patience. They don't want to be stuck in traffic. There's so many cars on the road. Everywhere you go, there's traffic. It takes from Rehovot to the north 4.5 hours to arrive. And it's not even 100 miles. The ride. It should have been 2 hours maximum, but it's 4.5 hours. To get to Meron, probably took them 8 or more hours to get there, each direction. You burn your time. Baruch Hashem, today when you're on the road, you can learn, you can listen to lectures, you can actually be driving and learning Torah at the same time, which we didn't have that options. In the past, if a person was on the road, how exactly is going to learn? He's riding on a donkey or on a horse. He's not exactly in a situation to listen to some speaker or shiur halacha. So, Rabotai, the Torah, the parasha begins, Im bechukotai telechu, ואת מצוותיי תשמרו ועשיתם אותם. 3 paragraphs in one verse. First, אם בחוקותיי תלכו. Second, ואת מצוותיי תשמרו. Third, ועשיתם אותם. It sounds all the same. You just can say, if you keep my mitzvot, we got the point. But obviously there's a difference. Before we go into what the Mefarshim say about this pasuk, literally the simple translation is, if you follow my laws, chukotai, we know in the Torah the word chukah means mitzvot that does not make sense. Zo chukat Torah, para aduma, red cow. Nobody understands the logic here. Even Shlomo HaMelech didn't understand. Don't ask questions. Follow the instructions. You want to understand? Maybe in Olam Haba you will. Doesn't make sense to you? Just follow it. I always say, the fact that close to 80% of the Torah is against human logic is the best proof that the Torah is divine. If all the 613 commandments would all make sense in human logic, then you always think maybe a man wrote it. Maybe it's a man-made religion, because everything makes sense. But once you see there's so many sacrifices and so many laws, take the blood, put over here, put in your toes, do all kinds of splash over here 7 times. What human being would make such strange laws? Take a lulav and go like this with your tie and jacket in Manhattan. Imagine you stand in Manhattan, all the goyim pass, and they see you like this. What is this crazy guys doing? Obviously, there's not laws that a person would make. What person would care if 1 year, 1 week, you should not eat 5 kinds of grains? Make sure there's no breadcrumbs. Remember, their house was sand, the floor. It wasn't like today, Italian marble. It was sand. They used to make the sand as straight as possible, hard as much as they can. That was the floor. Go find over there if there are breadcrumbs between the sand, you know. Who would make such laws? Take a candle. Remember, they didn't have flashlight. It's very hard to check chametz, bdikat chametz with a candle. Try. We do it just for the bracha, and after a minute we change to flashlight. It makes it a lot easier. But you know, you have to go between your clothes and your blankets with the candle. It's a pikuach nefesh. The whole tent is going to go on fire. Or everything was built from wood. It's mamash pikuach nefesh. Who would make all these laws? Check for chametz, make sure you don't drink beer, don't have maybe vinegar has chametz in it. Do you know a person that would make such laws? Then you know for sure we're in the right track, right? Because most of it is it's all divine. We don't understand the divine logic. Like the Rambam say, Ilu yeda'ativ, aitiv. If I knew everything Hashem does and why, I would be Him. Obviously I don't understand, and there's no way to understand. So im bechukotai telechu, meaning you follow my way, I can add also Jewish hashkafa. Jewish hashkafa, meaning Jewish hashkafa and natural hashkafa many times contradict each other. The hashkafa of nature, you don't eat, you won't have what to eat. That's a rule in creation. Goyim knows it. Everyone will tell you that. If I won't have a job, I won't be able to make an income. Everybody believes in it. Goyim, Chilonim. By us, from Jews, it's heresy. If you say such thing from your mouth, if I would not work, I would not have parnasa. That's heresy. A person needs to work to have parnasa. If he chooses to be Amel B'Torah without going to work, he would not have Parnasa. He can still have Parnasa. 150,000 Amelei Torah get Parnasa every month. They're not rich, but they have what to eat. Sometimes they live better than those who work, and I see it every day. Some people work and make a lot of money, but there's nothing left. They have debt. They owe here and they owe there. And a simple Avrech doesn't have any debt. Does not have any debt. Sometimes a billionaire collapses. He right now in a situation, he owes so much money that an avrech from a kollel is wealthier than him. With his tiny salary. Why? Because he doesn't owe money to anyone. Or if we will not have an army, we will all be dead. Logically, in a natural logic, it's 100% correct. No army, the enemies will come and kill us all, especially our enemies, which is the cruelest in history. And they are crueler than the Nazis. How can it be? Those Arabs, not all Arabs. Arabs, you can divide them to two categories. You have Arabs that they are descendants of Ishmael, and Arabs that are nothing to do with Ishmael. Those are the nice ones. Those are the polite ones, give respect, don't have any desire to murder, and some of them even speak against the murders. The other ones, those who are the children of Ishmael, it's not in their hand. They must kill, they must live based on killing. That's the main thing in their life. Why? Because there is a verse in the Torah. You cannot argue with Hashem. Ishmael, pere Adam, yado bakol veyad kolbo. Ishmael is a wild beast. And I don't have to tell you what a wild beast is capable of doing. But many Arabs are not Ishmael. Like 10 generations ago, someone from France moved to Iraq or to Syria or to other countries. Or many Persians are not Ishmael. The Parsis are not children of Ishmael, or Turkish, or Nigerians. They're not Ishmael. So, believe it or not, the majority of Muslims have nothing to do with Ishmael. The majority. Yes, a large portion of them are Ishmael, and we feel them every day. How do I come to the conclusion that they are more cruel than the Nazis? I'll give you a proof. If you come to a Nazi that was killing Jews every day, and you say to him, here I have, you see over here, 1,000 Jews, I'm going to put them all in a gas chambers, and you press the button, and you choke them all. But in one condition. At the same time that you do it, you're going to lose your right hand. We're going to have to chop it off. You're going to be left with only one hand. For the rest of your life. That's it. You're going to have only one left arm. Will he agree? He won't agree to lose one hair from his head. So no. I will be happy to kill them, but I do not want to hurt my body even a bit. So okay, so if you do not contribute and do not give your arm, these Jews will go free. As much as I hate them, let them go free. Why? I will not donate my arm to kill 1,000 Jews, and not even 10,000, and not even 100,000. You come to Muhammad from the Hamas, the monster, Muhammad ben Ishmael, or Ismail, like they say, and you say to him, there is one Jew. You want to kill him? Yes, but you're going to have to die also. No problem. I also bring my 10 sons. All of us will die, 11, to kill one Jew. So who hates the Jews more? Very simple math. The Arab not only will give his arm, will kill himself and his children just to kill one Jew. If you tell him, you die and we'll kill 1,000 Jews with you. Oh, that's at least something. So you know what, I contribute my life, because with that I killed 1,000 Jews that I hate. But over here is 1 for 1, or 10 of them for 1. They're willing to do it. Why? Unbelievable hatred. This is the way Hashem designed them, by the way. I want to ask you a question. Did you ever wonder how come everywhere the Jews live, as soon as they establish the community, immediately the Arabs show up? Atlantic Avenue, Arabs. Muncie, Spring Valley, Arabs. Lakewood, all around, Arabs. Everywhere you go, Arabs shows up right away. Thornhill in Toronto, right away, big Muslim community, big mosque everywhere. Manhattan, Upper East Side, huge mosque, right, where all the Jews there. Everywhere you go, immediately they show up. Did you ask yourself why? Antwerp, so many Hasidim, so many Jews, all around, ISIS people, all Arabs around them. I saw them in my own eyes, 2 or 3 blocks away. Everywhere there is a Jewish community, they show up. The question is why and how? Why they show up where the Jews are? For all over the world, they always search where the Jews live and they want to come live by them? The answer is yes. Why? Because Hashem said so. What does it mean? Hashem wanted the Jews to be intimidated by them forever. That's the plan. No matter where we will be, they will always be next to us with a sword ready to go. Why? Remember when I started my lecture with? Fear. Fear helps. Fear helps people to do tshuva. Yes, they hate fear, but there's nothing better than fear to do tshuva. And no matter what people tell you, that's the reality, and that's written in the Torah. How many times it's written in the Torah to love God? 9 times. How many times it's written to fear God? 18 times. Double. Can argue with what's written. V'yareta me'elokecha. You have to fear God. David HaMelech writes, Samar mipachdecha besari. One of the most righteous people in the history of the world. Read Tehillim, see who David HaMelech was. In a minute, you understand, neshama like this come maybe once in 2,000 years. And he writes, Samar mipachdecha besari. My body is all goosebumps from fear from you, God. The biggest tzaddik, shaking with goosebumps. You know, goosebumps is when you're really scared. Like you feel like you're almost fainting. Shlomo HaMelech, the smartest person ever lived. What does he write? Ashrei Adam mefached tamid. You want to be a tzaddik? Make sure you're always scared from Hashem. It's not an embarrassment or a downgrade to be scared of God. You're scared from the police, you're right, it's not good. You're scared from the Arabs, you're right, it's not good. You're scared from Parnasa problems, you're right, it's not good. It's all a matter of emunah and bitachon. But to be scared of Hashem, it's an honor. Not like some people think. It's an honor. That means I care. That means I'm worried if I do something that he may not like. Plus, I'm not a fool. I checked history. Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Jewish nation, your eyes saw what Hashem did to all the people who worship Baal Peor. They are all vanished. Hashem wiped them all out. Thousands of people, they all died. Why? Because they went to worship an idol called Baal Peor. Do you know what Baal Peor is? You cannot even imagine how dumb is the idea. Where did it come from? They go in as a big statue and they go over there. It's like a bathroom. It's going into the bathroom and they give all their waste to this god of them, and it's extremely disgusting and smell horrible, and I don't have to imagine how many flies are there. And important goyim, ministers, kings, they all come, walk inside, and they worship these idols. Now, a normal Jew, even today, take any Jew you want, not religious. Take Itzik from Tel Aviv. Itzik, come here. 10 earrings over here, tattoos everywhere, horse tail, jeans full of holes. Itzik, we want to take you to a special worship trip. What's the trip? Don't worry, we don't take you to the Baba Sali grave or to Meron. We don't take you to all of that. Or Me'arat HaMachpelah, or Kever Rachel. You don't have to worry. We'll take you to a place by the Goyim over there, somewhere, I don't know where, in the south, in the north, that they have this kind of Avodah Zarah. Immediately Itzik will dial 911 and say, this religious guy needs a Abarbanel. Immediately hospitalize him in a mental institution. Do you know one normal person that would agree to go to such an Avodah Zarah? Needless to say, after the Jews saw all the miracles of Egypt, and the Red Sea split open, and the Egyptian drowned and they made it, and manna is falling from heaven, and they saw Ma'amad Har Sinai, and they heard the voice of God. And after all of that, they took their chulent from last night and went to contribute it to the stupid idol of the Goyim. Do you believe such thing? I would never believe it in a million years unless it was a verse in the Torah. The Torah doesn't lie. Not only such a terrible punishment to worship such a thing, and also get a death penalty for that. And a karet. Avodah Zarah, it's karet. Chilul Shabbat and Avodah Zarah, both are karet. Two sins from the Torah make the Jew lose his identity. If he's the biggest thief in the world, he's still a Jew. If he's a mass murderer, he's still a Jew. If he's a pedophile, he's still a Jew. If he's a con artist, he's still a Jew. Almost everything he does, as horrible as it is, he stays a Jew. A wicked Jew, but a Jew. Except two things. Mechalel Shabbos and idol worshipper. If he breaks Shabbat, systematically, routinely, knowing Shabbat is a special day, but he's continuing to break it, he loses Jewish identity. Mechalel Shabbat areu kegoy lechol davar. Everything that applies to the goyim applies to him. Even his burial, like a goy, not like a Jew. Technically, even though today nobody does it, in Shulchan Aruch it's written that when Mechalel Shabbat dies, his kids don't have to sit Shiva on him. If he's also an atheist, anti-Torah, they have to make a party, wear white, and make a party when he dies. If he's a traitor, someone like Bennett or Lieberman, a traitor that helps the Goyim to destroy us, Chizkiyahu took his own father body. Chizkiyahu was one of the greatest kings in history. In his generation, everyone was from. Every 6 years old kid was knowledgeable in Torah. He took a sword and he said, anyone who would learn Torah will ever deal with me, will be stabbed. Everybody was scared. Everyone learned Torah. Everyone was in the highest level ever. When his father died, not only didn't sit Shiva, he tied his body to a horse and dragged him on a street. And the Chachamim admit that he was doing the right thing. Chizkiyahu Chachamim odulu, the Gemara say. Everybody asks, how can it be? I mean, you don't want to sit Shiva on your father. Your father was a kofir, was a rasha, was Mechalel Shabbat. I understand. But to drag, what obligation you have to humiliate his body and drag him on the street? You're not allowed to do it to a wicked father. How the most righteous king did such a thing? The answer is because his father was a trader, selling us to the Goyim. That's why. So you see, there are different levels of punishments. Once you're idol worshipper and once you're Mechalel Shabbos, you can no longer be called a kosher Jew. That's it. You cannot be a part of the minyan. You cannot be a part of the minyan. Today you have speakers on YouTube that are kufrim, heretics. You can count them in a minyan. I have a list of 16 of them. Believe it or not, some of them are famous and they sell thousands of books. And probably you have their books in your house. You're not allowed to step next to them, and you're not allowed to read what they write, and you're not allowed to listen to their voice, and if they would come to the minyan, you can't count them as one of the 10. Why? Because they're completely kofrim. They go against the principles, they go against Chazal, they make fun at Chazal. They cannot be a part of the minyan. But today, unfortunately, the knowledge of the people is so low that frum people do not know the difference between a kosher speaker and a non-kosher speaker. They don't know. They get inspired because every non-kosher speaker, half of his lecture is interesting. How would he have an audience? What do you think? The Christian speakers don't have interesting things in their speeches? The Muslims, imams, when they speak, they don't have interesting things in their speakers. So how come 10,000 people come to listen and sit for an hour? It has to be interesting. We don't judge the speaker by how interesting he is, and how charismatic he is, and what kind of amazing memory he has. This is all important, but that's not the main thing. The main thing when you learn Torah from a teacher, or you listen to a lecture from a speaker, first of all, if you hear in his lecture any heresy, If there is, he's an infidel. You have to wipe him out, delete him, and forget you ever knew him. Even if he gives 10 lectures that are fine, and the 11th one is full of heresy, doesn't matter. I call them the university rabbis, because I found out that everyone that was kosher up to a certain point, once he went to become academic, and he went 5-6 years in university, he became a kofar. Why? Because in university is the number one enemies of Hashem. Everything there is against Torah, against Hashem, evolution, all kinds of things. And they absorb all the kfirah. And after they come out of the university, this is what they say in their lecture. If you think the words of Chazal sometimes are musky, meaning rusty, meaning having mold in them, you're right. I also think. No. Someone went to yeshiva. He gives lectures to his community. This is what he said. I give you another example. One very famous one in Long Island. After the tragedy in Pittsburgh, he came out to speak. Why? Because one rabbi that we love very much, Tzaddik, he said to his community, I don't want anyone to read Tehillim for them, for these gays that made Brit Milah on Shabbat to a goy, and they all come with a car. It's the biggest chilul Hashem. Hashem sent a Nazi murderer to kill them all. There's a reason for it. We are not going to be hypocrite. That's what he said. That one came to respond. That's what he said. No, what is he talking about? They are holy. These gays. They are holy. They kedoshim. Kedoshim. I say, Kedoshim? Let's see you going and read Tehillim in their graves. Kedoshim. No, take the Tehillim and stand by the grave of this gay Mechalel Shabbat who married to a man and brought a black goy kid to become their son and decided to do Brit Milah on Shabbat on purpose, knowing it's not allowed. It's not even a Jew. Let's see you go and stand by his grave and read Tehillim. Don't be a hypocrite. You call him Kedoshim? Go to his grave. Don't go to any other grave. So this Reshaim, he called them Kedoshim. To this tzaddik that gave his life to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for 50 years, watching his eyes, learning Torah, making Baalei Tshuva, going twice a day to the mikveh, doing so many wonderful things in the world, helping so many people, and giving a lot of kosher lectures, and all of that, he called him Sitra Achra, the devil. To him he called devil, and to this biggest Reshaim in the world he called holy. And he's a rabbi of a community. There are hundreds like this. In America it's very common, unfortunately. Baruch Hashem, here in Israel they're not as dumb. You're lucky you escaped from there, you came here. Over here, yeah, you may have rabbis that make mistakes in halacha. Okay, no one is an angel. But no one has such a hashkafa of kofrim, of reform kofrim. And some of those make fun of the reform. And they are much worse than them. Because the reform doesn't come with a beard and write a book, God needs us. Who told you to make me? I asked you to make me? No, you made me. Therefore you cannot punish me. You need me. You made me because you were missing something. So I'm like your toy. You put me over here to entertain you because you were bored. You need me. Because you need us, you cannot punish us. Therefore we can do whatever we want. That's basically his book. And it's very popular. Number one soul murderers of the generation. Famous. Why? In a normal world, someone like this will not be able to come out of his house. Ever. Ever. But today, it's became Hashem Erachem. Ashkafa, people don't understand Ashkafa. So, im bechukotai telechu, not only that you eliminate your logic, that's what the Torah say, that's what you do. The Torah say, Israel me'al mazal. Goyim, if they won't walk, they won't have what to eat. You, תהיו עמלים בתורה. אורח חיים רוט, רש"י רוט, everybody רוט. מה זה אם בחוקותיי תלכו? שתהיו עמלים בתורה. If you be עמלים בתורה, everything will be done for you. you will have rain, and you will have bread, and you will have money, and the goyim will never bother you, and I will give peace in the land, and no one will be living in panic. And if you're not, all the curses will come. So you see, by the Jews, even the rain, if the rain falls, how much rain, and when the rain falls, it's depend on how we behave. In America, they have rain all the time. There's a lot of murderers there, a lot of idol worshippers, a lot of Reshaim. 99% over there are Reshaim. And they have tons of rain. In New York, almost every week, you have at least one day of rain. Everything, massive amount of trees. In New York, you have over 1 billion trees. And they all have plenty of water, and they all grow, and you fly on the way to Canada, you have like an ocean of green. This is, by the way, what I was once saying, it's written in Tehillim, גם ציפור מצא בית ודרור כן לה. מה זה גם ציפור מצא בית? A bird also found a house. But the bird, it's a wonder. One time in 1990, my family from Israel came, and they decided to take me to Disneyland with them. Why? They needed someone to interpret to English. They didn't know a word in English. So it was my uncle, my aunt, my 2 cousins, brother and sister, and me. 5 of us. They rented a car. We went to Disneyland. Now I never went to a place with so many cars in a parking lot. It's like a city. You know, you have so many sections. We parked the car and forgot about it. Imagine by the time of walking all day in Disneyland, we came now to the parking lot and I see 100,000 cars. And there was no remote panic that you can go around and pray. You have to go car by car. Couldn't find a car. And that's only one area of a parking lot. Then please explain to me how the bird that goes 10 miles away to find worms, and the birds fly back from 1 billion trees, and each tree has hundreds of branches, full of leaves. From the top, it all look all green. There's no way to recognize which tree your nest is. Where is your nest? And the bird always finds the exact nest. From all the trees, he knows exactly where to enter and to land exactly where? Exactly by the real nest. How is it possible? The GPS was not invented yet. Look at the bird. The bird had such a GPS, much better than Waze. Waze worth $20 billion. The bird that you buy in a store for $5 have inside a GPS that worth $100 billion. Just one bird. Multiply it by all the other birds. So Rabotai, the next thing is ve'et mitzvotai tishmeru, meaning all the restrictions of the Torah, mitzvot lo ta'aseh, lavim deoraita, you also have to stay away from. And the last thing in the pasuk, va'asitem otam, and what do you have to do? You have to actually keep the mitzvot aseh. So in one verse, Hashem actually included everything. All the chukot Torah, things you don't understand, that doesn't make sense to you. All Jewish hashkafa, Jewish ideology, all the positive commandments, and all the restrictions of the Torah. All of them in one pasuk. But the Chachamim highlight that im bechukotai telechu, it means that you be amelim b'Torah. What does it mean, amelim b'Torah? Now we're going to learn a very important principle. Very important. What's the principle? Hashem has 2 ways of operations. One regular way with regular form Jews, regular religious Jews, and one way that he operates with amelei Torah. Different story, different rules, different league, different consequences, different everything. I'll give you a little story, you get the point. One guy in a yeshiva in Ponovich got married. He asked Rav Shach, should I go to work or should I stay to learn? He said to him, learn, stay to learn. Hashem takes care of everyone, He also will take care of you. Tov. A year or two later, he came again to Rav Shach, and he said to him, look, now I have a baby, it's hard. We barely have what to eat. We don't like this stress. I would like to go to work now, Rabbi, give me the okay. The rabbi say, not yet. You can learn more. Don't leave. But he didn't listen. He didn't listen. What did he do? Left yeshiva. Once he left yeshiva, 4 years he was out of yeshiva, working in a good job. After 4 years he saw he has so much expenses that he is in exact same stress that he had when he was in Avrech. He came back to Rav Shach. He said, Rabbi, you were right. It did not pay for me those 4 years. I'm still back to square one. Same situation, don't have a penny saving, and I live in the same stress. And now I don't have all the Torah I used to learn. At least back then I would gain a lot of Torah every day. I would like to go back to work. What was the answer of Rav Shach? What would you answer? If you were the Rosh Yeshiva, if I was the Rosh Yeshiva, I would say, wow, Baruch Hashem, you finally confess you made a mistake. You should have never not listened to me. No, better late than never. Welcome back to yeshiva, no? That's what everyone would say. Rav Shach told him, go back to work. He said, why? He said, because when I spoke to you back then, from the minute you got married, you accepted on yourself to be an Avrech, Amel Batorah. Hashem took you and put you in a side of Amelei Torah. With them, Hashem runs the world differently. Every minute it's a miracle. How do you explain that tens of thousands of Avrechim lives from less than 2,000 shekel a month? When a family in Ramat Bet Shemesh spend 2,000 shekel just on a supermarket for Shabbat, if they have few guests. So what we spend on a supermarket is his entire family with his children somehow living in Yerushalayim, the most expensive city in the world. How can it be? Doesn't make sense. Ask any one of them, can you explain how you live? No one knows. It's a big mystery. No one knows. And on purpose, Hashem made it so clear that the salary will be so low that no one will ever doubt that it's a miracle. Because if the salary would be, let's say, 5,000 shekel, it's already a normal salary of a worker. Okay, look, Chilonim also live from 5,000 shekel. But when it's 2,000 shekel a month, you have to take care of all your family needs when you need approximately 20 to survive. That's obviously a big miracle. So Rav Shach told him, the miracle that Amelei Torah has, you already lost. Now, for the rest of your life, you're going to have to work like a slave and make a living. I want to give you a mashal that you understand about Parnasa, how it works. I once say that mashal, one poor man was very, very hungry. He didn't eat for 2 full days. By now he's about to faint. And the poor man, he walked around looking for a house with mezuzah that he can knock on the door. And, he finally saw a nice, beautiful home. He knocked on the door. A rich man opened the door. And he said, yes, can I help you? He said, yeah, listen, I'm so hungry. Maybe you give me something to eat. I haven't had anything from yesterday morning. The rich man say, I'm going to give you a meal that you never in your life imagined, such a fancy meal. But I'm a businessman. Nothing by me is for free. You will have to earn that meal. The poor guy asked, what exactly I have to do? He said, I have a garage. It has a lot of shelves. Accumulated a lot of dust. take everything off the shelves, dust everything there, put everything nicely. It's about 2 hours work, 3 hours maybe. Once you make my garage spotless, your meal will be ready by then. The poor guy is thinking, I don't have that much of a choice. Who knows, maybe I won't find another option. I better do it. With the last energy he has left by him, he did the job. By now he's dizzy already. He comes to the owner of the house. He comes, he looks around. Yeah, you did a good job. Now it's my turn to fulfill my part of the agreement. He takes him out to the street. He says, you see the house across the street over there? Yes. Go there, open the door, and the meal is all ready for you on the table. He asked him, over there, why not here the meal? He was thinking maybe he's fooling me. I'm going to go and he's going to lock the door. And all of that was for nothing. Imagine how his heart was pounding. Will I have something to eat or I'm going to die in the next hour? It's pikuach nefesh. Don't worry, the meal is there. The poor man goes, walks, 10, 9, 8, 7. Psst, open the door. What do you think happened? What did he see over there? Huh?
A big meal.
You're so optimistic. Huh? What? Let's give the rich guy the benefit of the doubt for a minute. He opened the door, an amazing meal. Mamash like Shabbos meal. Ducks, fish, meat, desserts, lots of salads, even gefilte fish he had there. Anyway, the poor guy sat, grabbed the whole thing, eating, exploding himself. Put some in a bag, put in his pocket, take some fruit. By now he's full, he's about to leave. He opened the door, and someone from the second floor say, that's it? You're about to leave? Just like that? And he said, why not? I never saw in my life such an ungrateful person. You come here, you eat like 5 people, and you don't even say thank you? That's your manners? Now the poor man is already fuming. He said, I'm an ungrateful person? You sounds like you gave me the meal for free or something. I work like a slave for this meal. You work? Where? Where did you work? It's across the street, by this house. Oh no, he fooled you also. He said, what do you mean? He said, this guy is such a crook. Every poor man who knocks on his door for food or money, he makes him walk in the garage, clean the dust, and then when they finish the job, he sends them over here to eat. This is bet tamchui. How do you say bet tamchui in English? Like Tomche Shabbos meal. Huh?
Soup kitchen.
Soup kitchen. Okay, soup kitchen. Everyone who's hungry comes here and eats. That's the mashal. What's the nimshal? Let's think. The poor guy in the story, it's each one of us. The rich man is the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. The man in the second floor, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Bet Tamchui, the soup house, is the world. Now, when a person grows up, his parents are not fully confident in Hashem the way they should. They don't have emunah enough or confidence. So they tell their teenagers, if you're not going to be educated, who is going to feed you? What do you want to be, a homeless? You better get a degree. Go to university. But the boy said, but in university they will murder my soul. It's not the 70s that you can go to university and stay normal after that. Today, if you go to university, that's it. You have 5,000 missiles directly to your neshama. All the filth over there, all the sotim, all the heretic people, all the Hashem Yerachem, what's going over there. Not to talk about the lack of modesty and the goyot over there, and who knows what else going on over there. You're going to have to sit 5 years over there to get a degree, and in the end you make the same salary like an Uber driver who came from Uzbekistan. He came to New York, he knows 2 words in English. Thank you, that's it. They taught him to put Waze in Russian. They give him an address, he puts it over there, and he drives it. He gives him instruction in Russian, or in Hebrew, or in Persian, doesn't matter, they have it in all languages. And he makes 60, 70 a year. And how much you think these people with a degree make? Just as much. College today is the biggest scam in the world. In America for sure is #1 scam. Sleepy Joe and college, the biggest scams. And in Israel, Bennett. Bennett is the #1 scam in the history of Israel. So that's it. So now, the Satan, which is the rich man in a story, he said to the man, you want to eat? You have to work. Come, let me give you a job. You earn, you have to earn. After he worked like a slave, he comes to the Bet Tamchui and get the meal that he would get anyway. Meaning, you think that your education brought you the success? The Torah warned from it. Be very careful not to say, כוחי ועוצם ידי עשה לי את החיל הזה. My talent and my achievement made me this success. Why? ישמר לך. Be very careful. Why? Because Hashem is the one who gives you everything you have. בתים אשר לא אתה בנית, בתים מלאים. Houses are full of all greatness that you did not fulfill. Wells that you did not dig. Gold, silver, animals, camels, all of that, who gave it to you? Whenever people ask you, if I won't work, how will I eat? Ask them, Bnei Israel in the desert, they work for 40 years? How did they survive without work? Not one work. Nobody worked. But nobody died from starvation. And that's it. You get your answer. Anyway, Rabotai, so the idea is that this mashal is mamash the secret of life. You can make it by being Amel Torah, or doctor, lawyer, you may say, wait a minute, but logically, you cannot deny that a lawyer, especially in America, makes a lot more money than an Avrech Kollel. Come on, there's nothing to compare. We're going to do the average. Avrech Kollel makes 2,000 shekel, and a lawyer makes 50,000 shekel. Do you compare their salary? No. But we know one thing, that the little that the Avrech make has blessing in it. Mitbarech bebitno. They get help from here, and the government send a check from there, and the in-laws, and this, and he has Kolel Erev, and Ben Azma. I don't know how they survive. In the end, they make enough money to live. There's only one difference. The lawyer most likely do not have any Torah to take with him to Olam Haba. How many hours he learn, if any? And the Avrech have 60,000 mitzvot every hour, multiplied by 10 hours a day. You do the math, it's billions of mitzvot every year. You compare this to this, in the end both of them live. Both of them survive. One has billions of mitzvot every month, and one has millions of sins every month. Why? Because in order for you to be a lawyer, usually you have to be corrupted. Very few are not. Let's put it that way. But lawyer, liar. There's a reason why it sounds the same. The Gemara says, הטוב שבעורכי דין לגיהנום, הטוב שברופאים לגיהנום. Why the Gemara target doctors and lawyers? Rav Galinsky, alav hashalom, was one of the greatest speakers ever. He also had sense of humor, lots of Torah. It was very, very short. Very short. He always made a joke when I go into the elevator, I always have to go to the first floor. They ask him why. Every place you go, it's always on the first floor. He said, no, that's the highest I can reach. He has to make fun at himself. Anyway, so one time he had problem with his ear, some kind of infection or something in the ear. He went to a doctor here in Ichilov. The doctor was checking his ear, doing all kinds of things, and said to him, Rabbi, if you're already here, sitting here by me, allow me to ask you something that's been bothering me very much. So it says in your Gemara, you know how they talk, in your Gemara. Okay? So it says in your Gemara that atov shebarofim lagehenom, that the best doctor even goes to hell. Why is it? Doctors don't do anything good, they don't save life, they don't ease the pain from people. Why they deserve to go to hell? Rav Galinsky said, I don't understand why it's your concern. You're not the best of the rofim. When you be the best doctor, then you ask me this. It doesn't apply to you. If the doctor was smart, he should have answered him, kal vachomer. Kol sheken. If the greatest doctor goes to hell, the ordinary ones, it's needless to say. But he's Amaretz, what does he know? So he said, okay, so not me. Oh, okay, good. Baruch Hashem. Tov. Speaking about you be amelim b'Torah, you know this famous story in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 61, that Rabbi Akiva that was preaching to the public in a time of the Romans, which was a life risk. And Papus ben Yehuda came to him, and he said to him, you're not afraid of the kingdom? There is a law. You're not allowed to teach Torah in public. Rabbi Akiva gave him the famous mashal about the fox who comes by the river, by the lake. He sees the fish are trying to maneuver to run away from the net of the fishermen. And so why are you running? He said, look, they're trying to hunt us. Why don't you come up to the land and we all live together, you and me? So you are the clever animal, you are the dumbest one. Here, when we can swim and maneuver and we have the tools to protect our life, we are dying from fear. We're going to go up to the land and live with you. Either we die without water or you eat us. Okay? So Rabbi Akiva gave Papus this mashal. You want me now? The Romans are killing us. The Romans are torturing us. They're making decrees against their religion. But if there is a chance for us to get safe from them one day, is by teaching Torah and spreading Torah. And that's the secret of the Jewish nation. The Torah is everything. Now you are telling me to lose the only weapon that we have left against the Romans. So I rather continue doing that, and if I'll die for it, I'll die for it. And that was the end of it. The Romans caught Rabbi Akiva, they put him in jail, and they caught Papus also for something that he did, nothing to do with Torah. They both waiting for execution in a jail cell. And Papus told him, he asked him, why you are here? He said, well, I was teaching Torah, they caught me. And why you are here? I wish I would be here for the same reason like you. You taught Torah and I did other things. Both of us are going to die. At least you have something to take with you to Olam Haba. What was the end of Rabbi Akiva? They took him and they cut him, they made lines of blood on his body. He was 120 years old. Try to imagine. Imagine, chas v'shalom, someone that was like Rav Kaduri or Rav Steinemann or Rav Shach, one of these very old rabbis that reached almost 110 years old. Imagine, chas v'shalom, million times chas v'shalom, they already passed and they're in heaven. But just hypothetically speaking, imagine chas v'shalom the Hamas capture one of them and put them now in Gaza and make a live streaming for all of us to watch how they take the biggest chacham, 110 years old, taking him, take his clothes off and showing the whole world how they cut his skin open and he screams. Imagine such a thing. It will be a mental breakdown for all of the people to see such a thing. And Rabbi Akiva, the greatest Jew ever lived. And the Roman asked him, no, where is your God? If you're such a tzaddik, you risk your life for him and you did what you did, how come he's not saving you? A famous question that the Chilonim ask. How come the Arabs kill Haredim? How come they blow up the head of very Orthodox people? Most people that died in the attacks are Haredim. The Arabs target Haredim because they know for sure they are Jews. Because Chilonim, half of them are Goyim. And the Arab knows it. They used to kill Chilonim a lot. Now after they killed many Chilonim, they saw they were either Russian Goyim, or Thailandi, or Filipini, or Druzim, or Arabs, Israeli Arabs. They all look alike. They dress alike, they look alike. There's no way to know who is a Jew or not. By the Haredim, they know for sure they kill a Jew. That's the reason. So he asked Rabbi Akiva, no, what do you have to say? Right? The answer is, Rabbi Akiva told him, Ma le'oser retzono kacha. If someone that followed Hashem instructions and did something minor that is not proper, imagine what he has to pay for the little thing that he did wrong. Imagine what's going to be your end. If someone that's count righteous and is being attacked and there's bombs and there's shootings and the axe in the head and other things that happen to the Haredim and Lieberman and the other decrees, imagine what's going to be the end of the Mechalelei Shabbat and all the Boalei Nida and all the intermarried people and all those who violate Hashem instruction every second. Not every minute, every second. There's not 1 second that they have without, that it's free of sin. The secular people, they don't have 1 second in their life that is free of sin. They're always busy with one sin. Even when they walk in the street, depends where they walk to. Either watching television, listening, music that they listen, things that they read. It's all sins. The woman they live with, it's a sin. It could be Goya, he lives with her in a house. Every second is a sin. He can be in a house when his children is in a public school. All day it sins. His children are in public school, they murder their neshamot over there. And he's happy in his office making money while his children are being murdered. Every second of his life is a sin. It's almost impossible to find 1 second in his entire life to say, this particular second, I actually did not commit any sin. Almost impossible. Frum people is the exact opposite. Almost always they're busy with mitzvah. Either they sit and learn, or they're busy with some chesed, or the women are dressed in a very hot weather and humid, and they dress from head to toe, modest, according to the halacha, and they suffer for the truth. They suffer for the truth. So obviously they're always busy with something. Or the woman is cooking for Shabbat starting from Wednesday. She's busy with mitzvah. Or when they drive on a car, they listen to a CD or USB. Or when they read something, they're always busy with mitzvah. And even when they work, let's say he's a driver. Let's say he's whatever he does. He works in a supermarket. Even when he works to bring money to send his children to yeshiva, the work is also a mitzvah. So a frum person is busy with a mitzvah every second of his life. At least one mitzvah. Even when you work, you are busy making money in a kosher way without stealing to send your kids to yeshivot, to buy them tefillin, to bring them a tutor, to help them in a gemara. In the end, the work is emtzai mitzvah. Preparation for the mitzvah. Like in Brit Milah, you prepare hot water, you prepare the tools. That's not the mitzvah, but that's hechsher mitzvah. So you're always busy with the mitzvah. If someone is always busy all his life, like Rabbi Akiva, with Torah and mitzvot and all that, Thanks to him, you have Torah in Am Israel today. Remember, after all these 24,000 Talmidim died, which is the Omer now for that, after all 24,000 died, he started the Torah with 5 students from zero, from scratch. If not Rabbi Akiva at that time, we would not be sitting here today. There will not be Judaism, there will not be Gemara, there will not be Halacha, there will not be anything. That means now today's lecture, as many people who showed up here today, and let's say the lecture is about 2 hours, it's 120,000 mitzvot. Multiply by 100 people, goes to Rabbi Akiva's account. And Rabbi Akiva is already in heaven 2,000 years. And on the next Rosh Hashanah that is coming in 5-6 months, Hashem call Akiva ben Yosef, stand over here to a trial. Sifrei Chaim ve'metim niftachim. Sifrei Chaim, we know we have to be judged for what we did in the past year. But why people who passed has to be judged? Remember what I said before. Meshalem la'adam ki prima alalav. Rabbi Akiva, come here. Remember the 5 students you taught? And now the Torah started to spread again. 2,000 years later, there's still Torah all over the nation of Israel. On this date in Ramat Bet Shemesh, there was 120,000 multiplied by 100 people, mitzvot, which all goes to your account. By then, Rabbi Akiva will know each one of you, because you brought him income. So he will see from him, from her. Baruch Hashem, very good. And now, that's only the beginning. Now this lecture will go online and we'll have about 20,000 views, and eventually we'll get to maybe 100,000 views. Multiply by 2 hours, which is 120,000 mitzvot. Chafetz Chaim did the cheshbon. Each hour of learning, it's 60,000 mitzvot. Person can say 200 words per minute. Each word has 5 letters in average. That gives you 1,000 mitzvot per minute. Especially if the speaker speaks fast. There is one speaker that speaks faster than me. Who is he? Who knows? I don't know. But Rav Meir Eliyahu. All the speakers that I get their video, automatically I put on 2 times speed. Why? I see 20 minutes, I put on 2 times, I finish him in 10 minutes. When Rav Meir Eliyahu a video someone sent me, it's the only one I cannot even do times in a quarter. Why? He already like a machine gun. Supercomputer is head. I want to tell you a story. One time we made a seminar. Remember Shammai when we brought him to our seminar in Yerushalayim? We had a dilemma if to call him, because he's such a big Talmid Chacham. He's talking Gemara and Halacha. What does it have to do with the kind of people we'll bring to the seminar? Almost all of them Mechalelei Shabbat. We have to teach them that the Torah is divine and what the purpose of life. So we were debating if to bring such a speaker to a seminar of secular people. But then we said, it doesn't really matter what he's going to say. And most likely they won't understand anything he will say anyway. But the point is, we want them to see what does it mean a smart person, Talmid Chacham. That's all, they'll get the idea. Now remember, I sit on a stage and he's standing next to me and he speaks, and I see all their faces. He begins like a machine gun, ta, 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 ta. And you know, he gives like 150 sources in an average hour. The Gemara over here, the day over there, the Midrash over there, the Zohar, and he quotes. He has photographic memory, and I see all these chilonim sit like this. They're all like getting the shock of their life, and I was delighted. And plus he gave a lot of good jokes. They were laughing. In the end, they came out. I said, no, did you understand anything? I tell you the truth, he was speaking too fast. I couldn't understand. I said, it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to understand. But did you see now the difference between one of your professors in university to a Baal Tshuva? Do you see the difference? Someone who learns few years Torah to your heroes in university? They can't be the dirt of the nail of such a Chacham. The dirt that you put in the nail, you know, they clean under the nails, they can't be. That reminds me, that many years ago I used to go give a speech in a real estate office in Queens. Friday between 12 and 2 p.m. There were all Israeli secular guys and girls working in real estate in Queens. One of them was academic. She went to university, she had a degree, so she admired science. So after a few lectures, she's already interested in a religion. I invited all of them for Shabbat, the whole group. And when she came, I used to live in Beit Drive, and I had a very long table, very wide and very long. And they're all sitting around. I'm sitting in the head of the table here, and she was sitting in the head of the table over there. So after giving a speech, I mentioned the name of Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal. As soon as she heard that, over here the secular media was butchering the rabbi on a daily basis. Constantly was their target. Attacking him, making fun, or doing all kinds of things. And the Chilonim, they don't know who he is. They only know what they hear. So they imagine in their mind some kind of a monster who speaks against us, who hates us. That's what they had in mind. Some primitive, this. So when I mentioned his name, you had to see her eyes. Almost came out. She said, what? This is your hero? זה הגיבור שלך? I say, why? What's the problem? I thought you are sophisticated, you are advanced, you give lectures about science. I didn't know you primitive like him, like this. Totally like this. So I asked her, who is the greatest Chiloni that you admire? She said to me, Professor Aharon Barak, נשיא הפקולטה למשפטים, the president of the law unit, משפטים, in the Hebrew University. He was also teaching in Harvard. So he is a judge in a Supreme Court. So she admires him. So I asked her, if I will ask Professor Barak a question about laws between the neighbors, let's say the walls fell down, and now two neighbors are arguing who should pay for the wall. It's your fault, you put stuff, I put stuff, you didn't pay, I paid, whatever, you know. Will he be able to give me a judgment, who is right and who is wrong, but also to tell me all the cases that are relevant to this case all over the world in the last 2,000 years by heart? She looked at me, she said, absolutely not. For that he has to go to the archive. They have archives and now it's all computerized. They can find it in other cases and see. I say to her, come over here, come. I showed her the library. I say to her, you see all these red books? Pull one of them out. She pulled one of them out. I said to her, you see this? This is a series of books that when Rav Ovadia Yosef was sitting in a studio on Friday afternoon, there was only one channel here in Israel for the radio back then. It was a live show. People used to call all rabbis, asking the hardest questions in halacha. The hardest, things that you cannot find in the books. They wouldn't waste his time on something that you can find in the books. The hardest questions. And he used to give them a 10 or 15 minutes answer with about 150 sources. And the host of the show, every once in a while say, Rabotai, I want everyone to know this is a live show. The rabbi did not know the questions in advance, and the rabbis does not have any books here in the studio. We are sitting in a studio of Reshet Bet. That's it. And they recorded all the shows, and they made a series of books called Yecheveh Da'at. That's it. So I told her, open anywhere you want. So she opened. What came out? Does a Jew allowed to step in the land of Egypt? Why? Because the Torah say that Hashem told the Jews that you will never see them ever again. Lo tosifun lirotam od. After the Egyptian died and all that, Hashem say, you're never going to see them again. So the question is, what did Hashem meant? What did he mean? that we will not see Pharaoh and his people, but today over there it's different nation, it's the Arabs. Did he mean we should not see the land of Egypt? Did he mean we should not go to live there, but to go for a visit, maybe we are allowed? There are many doubts here. And he gave an answer. So I told her, are you ready? Every parenthesis, it's one source that he actually quote by heart. You ready? And by the way, when he was actually bringing something from a rabbi who lived in Italy, by the way, he tells his biography as well. He came from Iraq, he moved to Italy, there was no Gemara over there. He sat and wrote all the Gemara by heart. He was actually aware of all their history also. So I say, you ready? Let's count. 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. By 50 now. She said to me, this is all by heart? I see it, she's about to faint. I said, wait, we have 10 more pages. We're going to get to about 150 sources. All by heart, all in the head. And there are thousands of questions over here. You understand what it means? She looked at me. This is what she answered. אני כל כך מתביישת. I'm so ashamed. This is not human. I say, exactly. It's all divine. Your professor can do such thing? מה פתאום? Immediately she became בעלת תשובה. Years later, she moved to Monsey, marry a guy, they live in Monsey, they even have a famous business in Monsey. I go to Costco, 10 o'clock they open. Costco Friday. I know you miss Costco, sorry. But I sit in Costco waiting for them to open 10 o'clock Friday. It was 5 to 10. I see a minivan comes. The door opens up. 5 or 6 or 7 kids, peos, yarmulke, tzitzis, jumping out of the minivan. One, another one. I don't know who they are. Then I see the mother. Who's the mother? Her. And I said, oh, Rav Ovadia, you made a family of 7 people irreligious and you don't even know them. That's called Meshalem La'adam Kepri Ma'alalav. And for that, the best thing you can imagine, is Zikui Arabim. Remember, you always make yourself busy with Zikui Arabim. The last thing before we finish, it's written in a parasha, ונתתי משכני בתוככם ולא תגעל נפשי אתכם. I would make my home among you, and I will not be disgusted by you to the point that I don't want to be with you. The Ramban asked a question. What kind of a promise is this? If we're going to keep the mitzvot, Hashem is not going to be disgusted by us. Where is the reward here? Where is the reward here? Meaning when you commit sins, I'm disgusted by you. But if you don't commit sins, I won't be disgusted by you. But where is the reward? Okay, so we didn't do anything to get you disgusted by us. But when we keep the mitzvot, you're supposed to tell us, I'm going to give you such and such and such. So the Ramban said, what kind of sachar it is that Hashem will not be disgusted by us when we don't commit sins? The pasuk, Venastem ve'en rodef. When you run, you will run when no one is actually chasing you. The question is, what's better, to run when someone chases you or to run when no one chases you? You saw an Arab running, he ran to catch the bus. But you didn't know why he's running. You thought maybe he runs to kill someone, you begin to run panicking. Then you saw where you're hiding that he actually got on a bus. So there was a false panic. Was it better that you ran away when the Arab runs to the bus and he didn't have intention to kill you, or he ran after you to kill you and you were able to escape? You jumped into the bus and the driver closed the thing and you got saved. Which one of the two is a greater thing? If you had to choose a scenario, what? Well, the other scenario, you die from fear before you get to the bath. But let's give a different example maybe. So, you thought that someone is actually chasing you, but he wasn't. You thought one of the workers in your company is actually here to get you fired, and in the end you found out that they're only angry at something else, has nothing to do with you. It was a false alarm. What's better, that you got saved from a real threat, or you got saved from a fake threat? What do you think?
The real threat.
Huh? Logically, it would be better to always get saved from fake threats. At least there's no threat, so nothing could have happened. If there was a real threat and we get saved, there was a real threat. But there's only one problem. What is the problem? The problem is the Shla Kadosh 500 years ago. He lived here in Tzfat. He speaks about Kohelet Gimel, verse 16. Ve'aelokim yevakesh et anirdaf. There is a rule by Hashem. Not always we understand why, but there is a rule. When someone is chased, immediately Hashem has a pity on him. And he runs to help him. Even if he's the wicked one, and all the righteous one chasing him, because no one is with him, and he's alone, and there's no one to help him, Hashem come to help him. So when someone is chasing you, Elokim yevakesh tanirdaf, then it's understandable how we are able to get saved. Why? Because Elokim yevakesh tanirdaf, and it doesn't matter if the one who chases you is wicked or righteous, Hashem will always try to help the one who is chased. But when there is a curse that you run when no one is chasing you, there is no siyata dishmaya here, because Hashem is not going to run to help. So there's no mercy at all. So what happened? Because you run from, you're thinking the Arab is after me, run, because you panic, chas v'shalom, you fall and you break your leg. 6 months in a cast. I ask you what happened. I thought that this guy is after me, but in the end he was running to a different direction. But the damage was done. Plus, you always live in paranoia. V'ifkati alechem behala. What does it mean behala? Who knows? מה זה בהלה? The Gemara say Adam bahul al mamono. What does it mean? Person always live with the fear that the money will fall out of his pocket. It happens a lot. It happened to me 2 weeks ago. I was in Ramat Shlomo in Yerushalayim. I was dropping my son in yeshiva, but before that we needed to daven Arvit. So he told me there's a shtibel here. Ramat Shlomo, there's an Ashkenazi shtibel. It's hard to find parking because there's a lot of people there. We somehow found the parking, barely we fit in. We went inside for about 15 minutes to daven Arvit. When we came out, I see 2 guys, 2 young Bachurei Shiva, standing by my car. I came, say hi, I say, yeah, can I help you? He said, can you check if you lost something? I check, I see my phone is here, everything is here in the pocket, this. I don't know. Maybe inside something fell, maybe the wire, the charger. I'm thinking, what can it be? He said, no, give me a siman. But I don't know what I lost. I don't know what siman to give. Then my son started to speak to me in English. Say, oh, you Americans? Say, we're from New York. Say, probably it's yours. He got the stuff of dollars. Cash. It was maybe $85 there or now, more a little bit. And he says, here, it fell from your pocket right here. I found it. So I said to him, by the way, you could have taken it. Take it, it's yours. Why? If you find money on the street, it's yours. There's no siman in money. He said, no, there is a siman here because it's right by the car. then you know it fell from the owner of this car. I don't want this money. I said, no, but you can take it. No. He refused to take it. What happened? The next day, it fell again from my pocket. We're driving to the north. I have to pay toll. I had other Israeli money. Wow, nothing is in the pocket. I said, I can't believe it. I called my mom. Said, can you go check in a room if maybe there's money there? She found all the money there. So you see, in 24 hours, it fell twice from the pocket. That's a common thing. It falls. Because it happens, a person always checks. The more greedy the person is, the more times he checks. Some people, they just don't take their hands out of the pocket. Constantly. So, in the end, because a person is bahul, is uptight, is nervous that he's going to lose the money, every few seconds he checks. The Torah says, I will make you bebe'ala. Ifkati alechem be'ala. What's be'ala? Panic. You have panic all the time. You're panicking. Who knows what's next? Who knows what's going to happen? An Arab gets on a bus, everyone leaves. Everyone gets off. Imagine an Arab in August goes on a bus with a coat. Between now until the next bus stop, everyone loses 10 years of their life on the bus. True or false? True, 100%. 100%. I will never forget. We had such a scary moment once here in Israel. We ordered a bed with a mattress, and the furniture company sent Arabs that live in those villages. Those do you read about them in the news? As soon as they arrive to us, right away, on purpose, they begin to pray on the floor next to me. I said, oh, those are Hamas, real Hamas. Now they have to bring the mattress to the basement of the house. My youngest son, the Arab said to him, Habibi, tavi li sakin. My son ran to me, Abba, the Arab is asking for a knife. What should we do? I say to him, take mommy and the other kids immediately go to the room and lock the door. I say, if anyone has to die here, I will be the one. At least I save them. So I go down with the, why he needs the knife? He wants to cut the plastic, the metal is just. But you don't know with them, in a basement, no one would see, no one would hear. Who knows, maybe he's going to put me in the mattress and take me with. So I bring him the knife. My hand was shaking. I felt my hand is shaking, you know. I gave him the knife, and the Arab realized that my hand is shaking. And you saw how delighted he was. They just get that pleasure. When he finished to cut what he cut, I was already outside. I didn't want him to give me the knife inside. At least outside, maybe. So when he came to leave, he gave me the knife, but how he was holding the knife? Like this. Upside down, like this. Here, Habibi, don't worry, take the knife. Al tidak. But this is 50-50. You know what it means that a Pere Adam has a knife in a basement with a Jew, with a yarmulke in a quiet place. This is the 50-50. That's what it means. So everything that is written in a parasha is happening to us daily. I would like to, Bezrat Hashem, conclude the lecture with few tips, mamash five last minutes, with few tips that relates to this verse, Meshalem la'adam kepri ma'alalav. Every one of us needs an encouragement to become Mezakeh Arabim. Mezakeh Arabim means based on the word of the Gemara in Baba Batra, Gadol HaMe'aseh Yoter Min HaOseh. Imagine a scenario. Someone in Bet Shemesh has a house worth 8 million shekel. He would like to sell it. There is a broker. If the broker will find him a buyer, he is going to get 2% commission. Which is very nice. 2%, 160,000 shekel commission, not bad. I think they get from both sides. But the buyer, the seller, is going to have to pay 2%. Imagine a scenario that you are the broker and you sell an 8 million shekel home and your commission is 8.5 million commission. Meaning the seller will get his 8 million and there is a fund, some fund, that will pay you 8.5 million commission. Is it normal? Makes any sense? By Hashem it does. There is a promise from Hashem. Gadol HaMe'aseh Yoter Min HaOseh. I convince you to start putting tefillin. You are not putting tefillin until now. So as of tomorrow morning, you start putting tefillin for the rest of your life. Every time you put tefillin, you get X amount of reward. Whatever you make, I make a little more than you, doing nothing. 10 minutes conversation, I convince you to start. You agree? Baruch Hashem. I convince you to be Shomer Shabbos. Every time you Shomer Shabbos, it comes like I did. So I have my Shabbat and your Shabbat. Every Shabbat for me it's 2. This guy will have 4 kids. They will all grow up Shomer Shabbat. It's already 6 for me. Then they have 20 grandchildren. They will all be Shomer Shabbat. It's 26 for me. But multiply by every Shabbat, 26 people. So you can duplicate yourself unlimited. You can become 100,000 people. If you influence a lot of people to become 4, it's fantastic. You're billionaire, trillionaire. You make money out of everyone. It's like the guy over here who make Kvish 6. Kvish 6. One investment, all day, millions of dollars every hour. Right? 340 shekel, 340 shekel, every car to the north. 340, it's $10, let's say. $10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, non-stop like this from morning to night. Trillions in the last 20, 30 years. And they don't have the budget to make an extra lane to avoid the torture of 4.5 hours to the north. There's plenty of room. I don't know why. But let me read to you some of the recommendations that will inspire you to do more Zikui Arabim. Mamash 5 minutes and we're done. As we say, על כל דרכי בני, אשר עיניך פקוחות על כל דרכי בני האדם לתת לאיש כדרכיו וכפרי מעלליו. Meaning a person gets reward and punishment based on the fruits of his actions. Right? Now, Noah, when he was 480 years old, Noah started to rebuke his generation. The flood was when Noah was 600 years old. So for 120 years, Noah was preaching to them that the flood is coming. Noah started to give birth to children when he was 500 years old. All the people of his generation, they gave birth up to age 100. That's it. 100 was the limit. Why? Noah started to give birth, only started at age 500. Why Noah would have kids in age 500? Chazal say, בזכות מצוות התוכחה. Meaning, you see that Hashem had decreed on Noah not to have children. If he wanted him to have children, he would give him children like in a natural way, like all the other people in the first 100 years of his life. But he was 500 years old and he didn't have kids. When did Hashem change this decree? 20 years after Noah started to preach to the wicked people about the flood. Meaning, Zikui Arabim is Gula for children, and I can prove it to you. I have a Syrian boy from Flatbush that Baruch Hashem I had the schut to make him Baal Tshuva. And he married a religious girl in a kosher wedding. 4 years they've been married, no children. One time he came to me and he said to me, I don't know what to do anymore. We tried this, went to doctors, this, nothing worked. I said to him, everything Hashem does is midah keneged midah, measure for measure. So you have to do something for Hashem's children, and Hashem will have to do something for your children. Since you don't have any children, by the way, you're going to get children. Because how else will Hashem benefit your children? He has to give you first children. So what do you suggest? I say make a monthly donation. DivineInformation.com, recurring donation, anything you can afford. It goes to save Hashem's children, to make them Baalei Tshuva, and Bezrat Hashem you have a miracle. He says, sure? I said, no one is sure, but that's increasing the chance. Okay, I'll give $100 a month. Not such a big amount. But for him, it was a sacrifice. Exactly 90 days later, exactly, not 89, not 91, exactly 90 days later at night, 90 full days, he called me up and he said, my wife is pregnant, today is the 3rd month, and now I can tell you, 3 months, first 3 months you don't tell anyone. And they had a boy. I was in Israel. It's like my last trip. Miracles, mamash like this. Why? How Hashem is going to benefit his children? He has to be midah keneged midah. So first he has to give him children. Now, Hashem say in Bamidbar, in the beginning of Bamidbar, to Moshe to teach the Leviim what to do in Bet HaMikdash, in the Mishkan. After the Leviim learned what to do, and the Leviim did what they had to do, it's written, Vayasud Bnei Israel Ka'asher Tziva Hashem et Moshe. But it wasn't Bnei Israel, it was the Leviim, the Levites. Why it said that the nation of Israel did what Hashem ordered Moshe? Chazal said, because who sponsored the Leviim? The Jewish nation, they give them the Maaser. So every mitzvah the Leviim did goes to their account, they give the money, they're partner in the mitzvah. Like Issachar and Zvulun. So here you have a proof from the Torah that by sponsoring a Bahur that learns Torah, you have a share in his Torah. He can make you 600,000 mitzvot a day for a few $100 a month that he gets in Avrech. Fantastic. If you have a lot of money, you can have 100 Avrechim. You can have 1,000 Avrechim. Depends. Wealth is very good if you use it correctly. Most wealthy people, they burn their money on nonsense. American Jews, they would spend $60,000 to $100,000 on a vacation to Florida in Pesach. Burns the heart. They could have done it in their house for $10,000. Everything, food, rishon, sheni, kiyad hamelech. 50 to 80,000 they could have given to Kiruv, which will make them 5,000 minimum Baalei Tshuva, which will generate billions of mitzvot for them forever, for the rest of their life. And what did they gain in Florida? Only sins. No Kedusha, no Leil HaSeder Kilchato, naked people in a hotel, terrible example for their children, terrible atmosphere, breathing the air of all the wicked people by the beach over there, people that walk naked in the street, not on the beach. In the street, in the stores, in the pharmacy. You want to walk with your child to buy something, a medicine? The women over there walk with bathing suit in the middle of the pharmacy in Florida. You don't find it in Monsey. Nobody goes to the pharmacy with bathing suit. So you live in Monsey, and you go to Sodom, you pay $100,000, what? That you can watch the lake, the ocean, from your terrace. That's how the Satan fools everyone. Not to talk about the mutarot, meaning luxurious lifestyle. The more you are after that, the less you are attached to Hashem. It's a seesaw. When your materialism goes up, your spirituality goes down. When your materialism goes down, your spirituality goes up, and it's always the case. There is no chance that both of them will go up or both of them will go down. In a seesaw, when one is up, one is down. By the way, in Hashem word, there is a lot of seesaws. For instance, Israel and Ishmael, that's a seesaw. That's what I'm saying. When Israel is lemala, Ishmael is lemata. When Israel is lemata, Ishmael is lemala. Meaning, when we commit sins, the Arabs get strength. When we become very strong in Torah, the Arabs lose their strength. It cannot be that we and the Arabs at the same time will go up, and we and the Arabs at the same time will go down. One goes up in the expense of the other. That's what the Zohar says. And you see it clearly. You don't have to be a genius to see it. So you see, in life there are many things like this. When your midot, when you learn Torah, your midot becomes better. When you start learning Torah, your midot become worse. I finish with the story of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. I met one of his students in Lower East Side, Alex. Back then he was 4 years old. Today he's close to 75. So I told him, tell me the story about Rabbi Moshe. So he said to me, you know, Rabbi Moshe was the head of Aguda. So every Rosh Hashanah they had to write thousands of Rosh Hashanah cards. There was no emails back then. They could send 5,000 emails in an hour. Back then, they had to do it manually. So every night, 2 Bachurim from the yeshiva in Lower East Side in the East Broadway there would come up to Rav Moshe's house with the Rabbanit and write all the cards, the thank you cards. And we would go there from like 8 to 11, something like that. 3 hours, 2 boys, writing the courtesy manually. Imagine what a work, what a job, 5,000 courtesy to write. One time I went there, he said, and Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal at 10 exactly would go into his pajama into bed. Shema, always, like robot. Never miss a minute early or a minute late. Mamash lived by minutes. His schedule was calculated. 10 exactly, he went to bed. 10:30. After he fell asleep, he woke up. This is what Alex told me. He came out of the living room. He came to me with tears, crying, Alex, forgive me, please. Maybe at the bedroom. He was holding my hands, Alex, forgive me, please say forgive me. I said, Rabbi, I don't know what you're talking about. What did you do? Don't ask, just say forgive me. Okay, I forgive you, but tell me what did you do? He said, how could I have been so ungrateful to you? You doing my job, and I forgot to tell you good night when I went to sleep. In the middle of the sleep, they woke him up from Shamayim to get out and to say thank you to him. So Alex told me, I asked him, Rabbi, you are another person, you are an angel. How did you become like this? Tell me please, were you always like this? Or you became like that? So Moshe answered him, I worked very hard on myself to be like this. I wasn't just born an angel. I worked very hard. One time they made in Brooklyn a magazine that the purpose of it was to fight the psakim of Rav Moshe. How is he posting this? How is he posting that? You know, halacha fighting. After 3 months that they sent him the magazine to his house, of course he never asked for it, he got a phone call from the secretary. Shalom, Rav Moshe Feinstein, yes. I see that you have an open bill here. 3 months we've been sending you the magazine every week, and you never paid for it for 3 months. You owe us about $100, whatever it was. So he asked them, I never ordered that magazine from you. You sent it to me. I never asked for it. She said, I don't know, I only work here. I only call all the people that owes money. So, would you pay me the 3 months or no? He said, yes, I will send you the check, but please take me out of the list, but you don't send anymore. His grandson, where is his Shemesh? He asked him, Zaidi, where does it say that you have to send them a check? The only purpose they're sending it to you is to upset you about finding your psakim. Now you have to pay them for that? So his answer was, and this is a message for us, and we finish here. His answer was, I accepted on myself that I would leave this world, but no one has anything to say against me after I leave. Even those who had bad intention, meaning I'm going to pay them the money. Why? That in case they want to say something against me, after I send them the money, most likely I will mute their mouth. They will be embarrassed to talk. So that's the way I look at it. Meaning, yeah, the munah. If you send them the money, Hashem will send them the money in a different way. We, Bezrat Hashem, hopefully will get one day to this level as well. It's very difficult to get to this level without being amelim b'Torah. Amal Torah means that the Torah is your entire life. You're constantly in it. You don't care about phone, and you don't care about sport, and you don't care about politics. My Rav doesn't know anything about politics. He asked him, Bennett is Rosh Hashanah, he doesn't know. They did a trade, they went with the Arabs, he has no idea. He has no idea. Not only that, his rabbi was Rabbi Mizrachi. He learned within 12 years Residual. The son of Rabbi Mizrachi passed a week ago in Yerushalayim. Everywhere in Yerushalayim there are signs that there was a big tragedy. He was only 7 years old. The only son that Rabbi Mizrachi left. Everyone went to the funeral. The next day, I sent my cousin, which is I sent him a message, my condolences about the ptira of Rav Eliyahu Shaul. He got the shock of his life. Ma? When? So yeah, yesterday, didn't he? There's not one person in Yerushalayim who didn't hear about it. You know, everywhere. It was all over Yerushalayim. He had no idea why. His mind is so deep in the Torah. He is not aware of anything. A few times I asked him, there's rich people in America, they need somebody to help them in a serious problem. They want to speak to someone, especially like you, a very big mekubal and all that. If I send them to you, they'll give you a few $1,000s for this. For sure, it's nothing for them. He said to me, don't send me anyone. Do me a favor, don't send me anyone. I said, why? You can make nice parnasa from this. Few more extra $1,000 a month for a frech like this in a small one-bedroom apartment. His answer was, it distracts my mind from the Torah. It's not worth it. זה מסיח את דעתי מהתורה. It's not worth it. Why? He already so deep in the Torah. That's how Rabbi Mizrachi was. Rabbi Mizrachi's grandson, 4th generation, was assigned to take care of his grandfather. They brought his grandson to my Rav to give him a bracha. He said, your grandfather is Rabbi Mizrachi, you coming to me? He said, I didn't come, I happened to be here, and they say it's good to get a bracha from you. So I'm asking. He said, okay, tell me a story about Rabbi Mizrachi, I'll give you a bracha. So he said to him, I'll tell you the truth, I am 4 months in the house of Rabbi Mizrachi, my grandfather. I take care of the stuff, take the garbage out, buy some groceries to the house. 4 months I'm going in and out, he did not notice me. We did not have one conversation yet. That's how deep he is in the Torah. 22 hours a day learns, 2 hours he sleeps. Goes to sleep at 12, midnight, wake up at 2, and learn from 2 all the way to 12 the following day. Age 100 he was. age 100. Can we learn 20 hours straight? Show me one Bachur, 20 years old, that can learn 20 hours. You barely find one or two. Why? Ahavat Torah. Rabbi Mizrachi was standing in the same place for 60 years. With the standard, 60 years. Everybody knew the hours. Never been late a minute, never missed a day. No matter what, 60 years from morning to night in one place, 60 years. One time there was the big Chazan, Yosel Rosenblatt. He came to his town in Europe. Everyone went to see the greatest Chazan. How many chances like this you have in life? Rabbi Mizrachi, God rest, he loved Chazanut very much. He was about to leave the door. He turned around, took off his coat, opened the Gemara. He said, that's more important. That's Yetzirah, Chazanut. Rav Steinemann was in the airplanes of Glick, Shimon Glick, took him in his private jet from Toronto to Muncie. They go up above the Niagara Falls. Glick said to the pilot, I want you to make a U-turn and go as low as you can. That Rav Steinemann can see one of the wonders of the creation. But from up close. They made a U-turn. Rav Steinemann was in the opposite side. He has to move to the other side of the plane. So Rabbi, come see something you never saw in your life. So much water. Look how much water Hashem did here. He got up. He walked 2 steps. He froze, was thinking, turned around, and went back to sit. What happened, Rabbi? You don't want to sit? He said, I was thinking, why did I get up to sit? Because I'm so anxious to praise Hashem, or because I'm curious? I came to the conclusion that I did it because I'm curious. Curiosity is Yetzirah. I better not see. Meaning I don't deserve to see. If I got up because I'm so anxious to praise Hashem for what He created, I deserve to see. But when I realized I only got up for my personal needs, meaning Yetzirah, my own curiosity, I better not see. This is people in our generation that reach such a level. Meaning it's still possible. If you wouldn't see examples like these, you wouldn't believe it's possible. But it's still possible. It's possible. Even there is one Jew like this in Ramat Beit Shemesh that was by our yeshiva in Muncie, reached the highest level he could think. Everything he could have become, he became. Sofer, Moed, Shochet, Akol, everything, Dayan. Why? Devotion, Atmada. Devotion. One guy told me this week in one of the lectures, it's hard for me to learn an hour a day like you ask every day. So I would learn one day 6 hours for the whole week. I said, one condition, that all week you don't eat, but one day you eat 6 meals for the whole week. What will happen to you? You'll die. But you want to kill your neshama in 6 days without Torah? The neshama dies. You kill the star of the neshama. The neshama needs daily Torah. You can learn, at least put CD, at least listen on the car. What's the point of listening to sport, listening to the news? I don't know, whatever people listen to, music. None of that brings you to heaven. Not music, not sport, not the news, not economy, whatever people like to listen to. None of it helps. If any, it makes your situation worse. There's only one thing that can help. You listen to Musa. 1 hour on the road. You drive from here, there, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, non-stop. The USB, play non-stop, 2,000 hours. Another lecture, another series, another lecture. Do you know how much you gain? Just from driving on the roads, you get billions of mitzvot. Doing nothing, driving. When you listen to music, what mitzvot you gain? 0 mitzvot. Even if it's nice songs, kosher songs. 0 mitzvot. It's your own pleasure. There's no mitzvot here. You're listening to the sport, averot, tarbut yavan. You're listening to the news, יושב בתל כמת דמי. You're listening to Torah, men and women. Women when they cook. What else to do besides listening to good lectures? Hashem made it so easy today with the media, whatever we have, all these apps, that you can listen to non-stop divrei Torah. Use it for the writing. If you don't have it, better not to have it, so you use USB. If you already have, get only one kosher app, divine information, or Torah anytime, put it in, and listen to good speakers that inspire you to do tshuva and improve your midot. Thank you very much, Shammai, for organizing this event. We're going to do our with your permission. Baruch Adonai Olam.